At its height, the Achaemenid Empire contained roughly 44% of the human population, swallowing everything from the Balkans to the Indus Valley. To govern a landmass of this size meant navigating some of the Earth's most unforgiving topography. Massive geological formations like the Zagros Mountains created immense natural barriers to movement. A standing army, no matter how vast, relies on heavy infantry and slow supply trains. It cannot march fast enough to be everywhere at once. Previous Near Eastern powers operated as loose tribal confederations. The Persians set out to build a synchronized, centralized macrostate. In a territory this vast, the delay of information posed a greater existential threat to the administration than any rival army. Maintaining a unified grip over millions of subjects required solving a difficult problem of logistical engineering. This topographical map shows how intelligence travels outward from the capital of Susa. The speed of communication is strictly capped by the physical endurance of a walking messenger or a laden caravan. We call this information latency. Imagine a local uprising sparks in a distant satrapy, like Egypt. A runner is dispatched, but the intelligence must crawl across deserts and mountains for months to reach the royal administration. By the time the capital receives the report and readies a military response, the local garrison has fallen. The territory is permanently lost. The king and his central administration were effectively blinded, isolated behind a wall of time. To survive, the state needed a mechanism that drastically accelerated the speed of imperial decrees and returning intelligence. Achieving that absolute velocity meant tearing up the map and rebuilding the continent's infrastructure from the ground up. A slow empire is a dead empire. Survival mandated operating faster than the decision-making cycles of any adversary. King Darius the Great recognized this geographical bottleneck. His mandate was to eliminate it entirely. To solve this, he commissioned the construction of a massive, continent-spanning highway system that was built purely for speed. This vector map traces the Royal Road. It spans an unbroken 1,700 miles, connecting Susa in modern Iran directly to Sardis in Turkey. According to the Greek historian Herodotus, exactly 111 relay stations were dropped along this path. These nodes were called the Chapar Khaneh, highly specialized courier stations. The spacing was heavily calculated. Each station was positioned exactly 1 day's hard ride apart. To maintain this strict mathematical distance across winding valleys and high plateaus, the Persians imposed rigorous standardization on the landscape itself. Just as they standardized their currency into uniform weights to control the economy, they standardized the road to control travel time. This made the Royal Road distinct from a traditional trade route. It operated as a continent-spanning machine custom-built for data transmission. The system had to account for a strict biological limit. You cannot selectively breed a horse to sprint 1,700 miles without collapsing. The Chapar Khaneh bypassed this limit by eliminating downtime. Every node was meticulously stockpiled with grain and fresh remounts. The Angaros, the exclusive royal couriers, rode their mounts to total exhaustion, pushing maximum speed for a single day. Upon reaching a station, the rider stops, but the intelligence is passed immediately to a waiting courier already in the saddle. In modern network theory, this is packet switching. The human riders do not cross the empire, only the data packets cross the empire. Because this intelligence was so critical, these stations were heavily fortified to protect both the imperial mounts and the data. The messages themselves were stamped with clay seals to authenticate the orders and ensure total data integrity across the network. By removing human endurance limits from the equation, the Persians engineered a system of continuous, unbroken motion. This chart compares travel times from Susa to Sardis. Before the network, moving between Susa and Sardis took roughly 90 days on foot. Using the relay system, that exact same distance was compressed down to just 9 days. This tenfold multiplier in speed granted the Persian military a devastating asymmetric advantage. Imperial directives could be updated, revised, and transmitted across the continent faster than an enemy army could physically march. It empowered the king's ears, the imperial spies, to report local corruption and dissent, back to Susa long before a rogue governor could organize an effective defense. This administrative efficiency generated an aura of omnipresence, deterring rebellions from ever sparking in the first place. The Chapar Khaneh weaponized time itself, converting logistical speed into a mechanism of absolute imperial control. Raw speed is useless without total reliability. The couriers were required to maintain pace through freezing nights, sandstorms, and extreme heat. The Greeks had never seen an administrative infrastructure operate with such mechanical consistency. Herodotus wrote in awe, "Neither snow, nor rain, nor heat, nor gloom of night stays these couriers from the swift completion of their appointed rounds." This operational standard proved so robust that millennia later it was engraved on the facade of the United States Postal Service building in New York. The Achaemenid network established the definitive template for imperial administration, directly inspiring systems like the Roman cursus publicus. The Persian military eventually fractured under the campaign of Alexander the Great, but while a conqueror could seize Achaemenid land, they could only effectively rule that land by co-opting the Achaemenid logistical machine. The friction of distance has always been the terminal limit for the world's largest land empires. The Chapar Khaneh solved this, forging a synchronized, omnipresent state out of a highly dispersed population. The Royal Road acted as a massive, high-speed data artery, constantly pumping critical intelligence into the capital. The capital functioned as the ancient world's most sophisticated hub for processing information, synthesizing constant incoming reports into coordinated state action. History often measures empires by the battles they win and the territory they consume, but the true administrative genius of the Persians was realizing that seized territory is worthless without the communication networks to maintain it. Military victories alone only acquired the physical landmass. To actually govern it, they engineered a state machine that functioned faster than its enemies could think, effectively conquering time itself.